Hey, welcome to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura, and I'm going to do obviously a general message for Virgo. Know that energy is fluid, so roles can be reversed. You may have to flip it, switch it, twist it. Just interpret the message as it best resonates for you. Now, for those of you that are new to my channel, because the channel is relatively new and I don't do consistent live streams yet because I'm still trying to put together the rest of my business and I do a lot of other things aside from YouTube. So, and my, dealing with family situations as well. I'm in a time of kind of transition. So, um, consistency tends to be hard, especially when you need healing. And speaking about healing, this channel, like my Psychic Soul Healer channel, is all about healing the shadow aspects of ourselves. And the shadow aspects of ourselves were created because of trauma. So, what happens when we have trauma is we form behaviorisms and habits and conditions that block us from manifesting. And understand a lot of times we are born into family karma. And so the family karma teaches us a lot of times, it conditions us. It's what conditions us to be a certain way, to think a certain way. So I was just speaking to God in my head, saying how I grew up in a family where money, it was drilled into our head that money was hard to come by, that there was never enough money. That's all we ever heard. There's not enough money. There's not enough money. There's not enough money. And it was ingrained in us. So even though you can get out of that environment, you still now have formed behaviorisms due to that thought process, due to those core beliefs. And this is what family karma is. Family karma is when we inherit our family's behaviorisms and habits. So money has no energy except for the energy that we give it. So we don't like who we are, then understand everything is difficult. You're a magnet of who and what comes into your life. So it's not that I won't look at your situation with a soulmate. I am going to look at that. I'm going to look into the hidden truths about what your soulmate actually feels about you and what they plan to do in the next week or 2 weeks or so. Really, spirit has no time. So for me to say a week or two, especially if you're in a twin flame karmic relationship, because a lot of times we live karmic themes and we live those themes multiple times. And because you can't control unconditional love in your soulmate twin flame and all of your soul's family, there's this soul recognition, and which connects, the connection is through unconditional love, which what happens is we can't control our heart. We feel like we can, but we if we do, it's because we're suppressing who we truly are. So understand the readings on this channel go deep, like my Psychic Soul channel. The only difference is this channel, the intention is just for Virgo, but no, energy is, like I said, fluid, and it's going to go to the person that needs to hear the message. So you may not even be a Virgo and wind up on this channel and resonate with the message. Well, you were meant to hear that message because it's, again, spiritual law. It's for the better of everyone involved. Now, if you're new to the channel, again, anything that you need to know of any relevance about the channel, you can find in the description box below. If you're looking for psychic healing, spiritual healing, you can check out not just my Psychic Soul Healer group, because I have a subscription for coaching there, but you can book a reading with me through my website, pureenergyhealer.com. And on my website, you can find a ton of different blogs, different resources that not only heal, but balance the body, mind, and spirit through different holistic and spiritual topics. So it's something that you might want to check out. You'll also be able to find links to my podcast and also my Empaths and Sensitive group on Facebook. So you definitely want to check out those resources. Now, without further ado, again, I look at the spiritual energy first. And the reason why is the spiritual energy will determine why a person is doing what they're doing. It's the underlying energy that, you know, how there's many different realities to a situation depending on what we choose to do. It's our actions, right? Our actions are what creates our karma, and our actions are based on our intentions. So our intention plus the action is what creates a samskara. And a samskara is a soul wound, and a soul wound is where a lot of times incarnated with these soul wounds, which are all about the themes, the karmic themes that we have to learn, which inevitably why we have to do this is to grow the soul, to heal and to learn, to evolve into higher states of consciousness, into a Christ consciousness or a love consciousness, universal love consciousness. That's a nice one. Or a just unconditional love, to love everything and everyone regardless of what your perception is, because whatever your perception is that you're projecting. A lot of times whatever we are like adverse to, like I don't like that, well, understand it's because you need to heal something within yourself, and you can say no, 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 I don't agree with, or my spiritual belief is, or my religious belief, it's your perception. It's your perception. And you could have grown up believing that that perception was right. But life is about thinking that you know something, leaving it and returning to it and seeing it differently, because God is all knowing. God is a universal. That's all that God is. It's the energy of unconditional love. So it's again when we can leave and return to something and see it different. Because again, when we see things from a limited perception, it means that we're blocked. We're spiritually blocked from seeing opportunities sometimes, or seeing solutions to problems like what we're seeing within the world, within finances and other areas in the world. So it's again, we're in spiritual times because there's a spiritual war, and the spiritual war is one of consciousness. So soul healing is inevitable in order for this planet to evolve into higher states of consciousness. So there's a tower moment right now, tower moment within many people's lives, personal lives, and obviously one that's on the planet collectively. So again, looking at the energy that spiritual is majorly important, because when we feel that we can't have relationships, when we feel like we can't have love, when we feel like we're cut off from ourselves, which is unconditional love, because we have spirit inside of us, which is that energy of universe. We have the universe actually inside of us, and that universe is God. That universe is spiritual energy that connects us to each other. It's felt as empathy, sensitivity. It's again, I don't need to know you to be able to empathize, or again, see perception, or just even not see your perception at all, but love you, because maybe we have commonalities. So it's very important to look at the spiritual energy. That's why we do it, and we do it with the Psychic Soul Healing Oracle system, which is my system for healing the shadow aspects of self, based on transensual meditation. I was just going to say, no, psychology, transpersonal psychology that transcends your mind. So, but you really can meditate with it. Well, you can actually meditate on the different things that come up. I think that that's a part of when we meditate on something, then we do deeper reflection. And really, that's what shadow healing is all about. We have to dive deep. All right. Diluted. Elitist. I'm just going to pull 3 for this. Merciless forgiveness. So automatically, Virgo, I feel like it's either you or you're connected to someone that is deluded, meaning their perception of life is distorted, like many people's, because again, it's perceived on materialism, based on outside things that make us perceive that we need to be someone else in order to be whole. So I believe that you're dealing with someone, and understand like goes to like. So we're looking at spiritual energy first. So you're a magnet of who and what is coming into your life. So even though I'm saying energy is fluid and roles could be reversed, well, you would have to have a little bit of this energy inside of you. Now, does that mean that it's in full force? No, guess what? You could again have a little bit of this energy, like residue of thoughts of believing the same thought as the person that you're connected to, where your person is embodying that belief. But see, energy goes to energy, and there's not a little bit of energy, it goes to a lot of energy. That God says there's only two energies, love and fear. That's universe, by the way. When I say God, it's universe. So universe is again the energy of the universe says there's only two energies, love and fear. It's simplified. Everything is born from those two emotions, and those two, anything with that, again, thought patterns come from those two emotions. So again, your person grew up in an environment where they believed again that in order to be whole, they needed to have things. And that happens a lot of times when we grow up in poverty consciousness. So I believe that you and your person grew up in an environment where money was hard to come by. That so money has no energy again, except for the energy that we give it. So it's funny how I said that before. Funny how I was talking to Spirit before about this exact topic. Yes, this is what Spirit wanted us to talk about today, and was going to talk about again how we're going to see how it influences our reading. But it's funny. I was just literally having a conversation with God about this, about, hey, you grow up in an environment where you're conditioned that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy enough, that you don't have enough. And it might not even be told to you. It's shown through the way that your parents are holding their bodies, how stressed out they are, how happy they were, how well they dealt with stress themselves. Did they have addictions? Where did those addictions come from? Meaning, what stemmed the addiction to become born? Understand, when we don't feel good, we want to change our energy. So, the hippocampus part of your brain is the part of your brain that is all about the rewards, the emotional center, right? So when we do something that makes us feel better, it lifts up our energy. And then over time, we are conditioned to believe that we need things outside of ourselves to become whole and happy, because there's a sense of not liking who we are. So it's again, the merciless forgiveness means that you grew up in an environment where you and your person grew up in an environment where things were imbalanced, and you need to have merciless forgiveness. Otherwise, the person that is your soulmate twin flame will continually trigger you, because understand, you're a magnet of who and what is supposed to come into your life, not just who you are, but what you need. So a lot of times what we need, we don't like. And so when we're having trouble within our relationship, because again, there's a diluted way of thinking, and the diluted way of thinking is just number one, self worth, who and what I believe I am. Number two, what I think my success is, or my purpose here on the planet is. If I'm thinking it's just to get married and have a great life and only care about myself, when then you're only coming from like like yourself, and that's an ego self. And that ego self is the darker part of self because it doesn't care about anyone else. It only sees what it wants to see, and it's usually based on survival. And so, again, we're looking at things through a distorted perception, which is a diluted perception. And that's bad when we're, again, trying to live life because our habits are going to be built on this and not really truth. And so we have to first heal, and we heal by acknowledging where the thought pattern comes from. And a lot of times, what's holding that thought pattern in place, believe it or not, is we're angry. We're angry. There's a belief that we believe that there's that we can't create, that we're not going to be successful, that we're defective. That's why this needs to happen. Otherwise, you begin to, again, inherit a diluted way of thinking where you believe that success is like an outside thing, like your abundance is an outside thing. Really, your abundance is what do you have gratitude for now that's in your life? And it can be as simple as the bed that you sleep in, a roof over your head, food to eat, friends to talk to. It's about understanding happiness is within your self-wealth, worth. Let me right? Your self-worth is, again, created through creating yourself, and that can't happen if we're angry. And we need to forgive, because that means that we're holding on to some parts of ourselves that is the shadow part of self that keeps us deluded from really seeing what it is. So we're seeing this. So I'm automatically feeling like someone's actually living a karmic theme that of this, because, and understand, karmic themes happen every 12 years within a person's life. And it's to, again, bring up what you haven't healed. We incarnate with certain spiritual, again, samskaras, which are all our karmic lessons that we need to learn, our soul wounds. And our soul wounds are, again, those and the energies that we need to integrate, which is the psychological part. It's the of not just the spiritual, which is the character, but also the physical. We have to integrate the physical aspect of the healing, and that's through doing. So if we don't do that, we don't see a different outcome. And unless we see a different outcome, we can't really move on. So a lot of times we get stuck. We get stuck in the story. And this is what keeps us deluded. So, it's a time of self-healing, Virgo. This is what is telling me right now, just automatically. That's the spiritual energy. We're going to look a little bit deeper into just spiritual energy. See what needs to be cleared, what caused it. Okay, we're going to pull what caused it for you and your person. Wanted, step towards your fears. The past doesn't define you. Okay, so I believe that your person is stuck in their bad relationship situation. So if they're not giving you enough and they're treating you badly, it really doesn't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with the fact that they need to do healing. They need to look and see why they don't believe that they can have love. They need to work through what has transpired within their relationships to be able to let go of guilt, shame, betrayal, whatever their spiritual issues are that keep them haunted. Because if a person's haunted, again, it means that they're detached. And they're detached because they're stuck in their mind of what has happened. They're stuck in the past. And we can't stay in the past, not without suppressing ourselves. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see addictions here. Perfectionist, and I believe that, again, you tried to do everything nice and good and whole in it, but I actually believe that both you and your person have this wound. of trying to be perfect. There's no such thing as being perfect because, again, if we're trying to be perfect, we're wearing a mask. And if we're wearing a mask, we're putting ourselves in like a category where we're trying to elevate ourselves. And that's ego. That's not really the self, the real self, the I am, which is of spirit. So, again, being perfect, there's no such thing as perfection. We shoot for excellence. Excellence in what we do by creating ourselves. And otherwise, then we feel like we have to wear a mask and we feel like we have to pretend to be perfect. And again, there's no such thing as being perfect, it's an illusion. But both you people, again, have that Virgo, you and your person. So, and there's a sense of maybe you're still creating yourself, where this person, like I said, I feel like they're completely on a different vibration. They haven't found themselves. They're going through a karmic cycle right now. And that karmic cycle is, when it ends, it's almost like a tower moment, that everything that's not really serving to support that person really crumbles, and it has to crumble in order to make room for what's supposed to be there. And that's what I'm saying. If there's nothing there, that means that person hasn't created themselves. And if they haven't created themselves, what's in there if we, again, are energy beings? And what I'm telling you is nothing. What I'm telling you is a persona, a persona. And so too much energy went into the relationships. And so they're haunted by their relationships. That's why they're deluded and not really coming forward to you or communicating to you. I believe that some you are in a relationship with someone that just doesn't communicate. So you may not be fighting with your person, but they're not communicating, they're not open with you. So that's a little bit of an issue. And because, again, the detachment, the inadequacy, the not feeling safe. And this would be triggering for you, Virgo, because then you'd be like, is this something that I'm doing wrong? Let me try and, again, be perfect. And where I feel like you evolve back into when you were growing up and there wasn't enough, and there wasn't enough, that identify with inadequacy is coming out. So again, when I say that we live karmic themes that keep playing out as karmic cycles every 13 years, it gives us an opportunity to approach that wound, that samskara, differently. And so that's what your person is going through, where I believe that there's a sense that you are working on becoming yourself, Virgo. So you're not 100% on this person's wavelength. I feel like you're a vibration. You're more on a higher elevation, expectations. And you have to be careful, because I think that the irony is, when you met your person, you had expectations that, because of who they presented themselves to be. They presented themselves to be perfect. They presented themselves to be, of a higher vibration, but it's a mask, because they haven't developed part of themselves. And so again, they stay haunted in their past relationships, and they really need to heal the root of it. Otherwise it keeps their, the way of thinking like distorted. So, but it's triggering you again to try and be perfect, and you're still not getting what you need emotionally. So as I said, that we live out karmic themes some people live, it depends on the karmic program. It depends on the karmic situation. So if it's something like family karma, then you are going to live those themes until you learn them. And even when you learn them, you're still going to have to go through them. But the difference is, they won't have the emotional charge that originally they did. Like when you first go through an emotional situation, you get triggered, you have a lot of anxiety, you have a lot of fear, you begin to get overstimulated. Why? Because The body is the mind's faithful servant. And when you've gone through an experience that is traumatic, where does the energy go? Well, it stays within your energy body. It's held within your nervous system. So when we get triggered by an outside stimuli, and that could be I go back, get back into a relationship with someone, or I go for a job, or I'm at a job, I can be triggered, and those stems goddess reawaken, and my old behaviorisms that I might have healed in the mind, but I haven't reconditioned my body. So automatic responses are survival mechanisms. So understand healing is not just about healing the mind, it's about integrating. And that's through not just the physical world, through the experience that you have to, again, integrate through seeing it differently, through approaching it differently, through acting differently. But you have to also recondition your body, because your body has hold all that energy. And if you've gone through a situation every 13 years because you haven't learned it, well, understand that emotional charge is going to be very, it's going to be hard to control. We do yoga, we do breath work, you can do body mind work, you can do samba healing. That's very healing if you don't remember the trauma that you've gone through, because your body does remember it. Okay, submissive. And see, I don't like this energy, but for either person, because I feel like it depends on the situation, like who you're with. So, meaning if you're with a dominant person, you may take that role, but then if you're with somebody else, you will take the more dominant role. But then that it winds up being a codependent relationship. So, when we live in karmic themes, where merciless forgiveness is involved, and again, people, the way that they've been acting and treating each other is bad because it's based on, you know, diluted thinking because of past expectations, because of past situations that didn't work out, and they stay haunted. They stay stuck in the past. So they have to build facades of who they want you to think that they are. They want you to think that they're perfect, but that's because they feel inadequate. So the truth of the matter is they may come in as being submissive, but that's not really who they are. So you have to be careful. So it's, again, this is all about the healing. So if you're feeling a lot of mixed energies about your person, the reason why is because they need healing. And they need healing by recreating their identity. Again, your identity is not based on a situation that you live or based on the car that you drive. It's, again, how we create ourselves. It's where we contribute our time, our energy, our focus, and our money. It's who we choose to become. It's how we can choose to contribute to humanity by giving and receiving of love through our free will, what we choose to do. So again, codependency, bad relationship. So if I had to put a label on this relationship, I might even call it a trauma bond relationship. Trauma bond relationships are past life relationships. There's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of love there, but you have to be careful. This is when it gets tricky, meaning now I'm fighting between my heart and my mind. What my heart wants and what my mind wants. My mind may believe that there's imbalances and this would be difficult for me, but my heart wants what it wants. So understand that could be a cocktail that would definitely throw you out of balance, Virgo. If you were dealing with this person. So again, I feel like you're in separation right now, and I feel like because you're in separation, it's not bad because, like I said, you're protected. You're not making a decision. You're not doing anything. It's kind of like on hold. And sometimes when we don't know what to do, that's the best thing to do. You do nothing because we don't have enough information to go by. But I believe the more that you sit in your space, the more that you reflect, the more that you see what your person has done, how they've acted, and why they've acted. And now you know why. So I want to just look at some of the triggers. Okay, bluff. Calling your bluff was the most satisfying thing that I've ever done. I think that again, when you're in a codependent relationship and you're wearing a mask, there's a sense of not allowing the person to come into your life, but needing them to be there. So it's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And so there's a sense that I believe that your person in the beginning was like, I didn't really think that you would walk away from me. And I think Virgo, you're like, you know what? I got tired of you treating me like I was a piece of shit, like I didn't know what was going on. Like I know just because you're not saying it is a form of gaslighting. I want you here, but I don't want you here. It's like, yeah, come here, then don't. And oh, you did this because again, no, I'm not here to fix your life. You need to fix your trauma. It's like, and because it's triggering me, but then you have to ask yourself, Virgo, why, like, why did the universe choose to bring this person to you? Because this is a hurtful type of energy. It's like, okay, that this is a past life passionate kind of connection, and it's, like you should love me, you should care about me, you should want me, but it's like I have to call your bluff. Like it's like a one up you. It's because the person wanted to control you. They wanted to they wanted you to chase them. They wanted you to show them how much you cared without them showing you. So it was very unequal energy, and what their perception is imbalanced. And I believe that that's why they've never had really good relationships in the past, and why they're haunted by their relationships, because if this is the way that you've been playing it, you can understand why people become resentful. Because if you get with a person that keeps giving you instead of what you did, Virgo, which is you're like, I'm going to call your bluff. I'm not going to, you're going to run, you're going to act like whatever. Well, guess what? I'm not chasing after you. I'm not going to do whatever. You think that I'm going to do whatever you think that I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it. And that's so they're almost like, I don't know what to do with that energy. Like I said, because they're used to dealing with lower vibe people that would try to convince them, and people that needed healing themselves, but then would go and try and heal this person. But again, because they wanted something from this person, which is why your person doesn't trust relationships, because they attract low vibe people that pretend to be nice, that wear masks, because they attract people like themselves. Judged. I felt my thoughts, feelings, and emotions were judged. And I feel like your person is so overly sensitive that no matter what you say, they would feel judged because they're not on the same vibration as you. They don't know, it's driving me crazy. They don't know, like I said, something on my glasses. They don't know how to take criticism without taking it personally. They have like a lot of triggers there. So it's, again, when we have a lot of samskaras, that's what'll happen. And if your person doesn't know about healing, they're just gonna be overly sensitive and you know cut people off and walk away when they don't like what person says to them. And it's a very childish and immature energy. So, which is again why you're glad that you called their bluff. You're like, oh well, you think that your words are going to keep me here. Like, oh, you care about me, you love me, but don't come any close. I'm watching your actions. and your actions aren't in alignment with your words. You're hot, you're cold, you're in, you're out. It's almost like that bipolar. That Katy Perry song is going off in my head. So that's why it is satisfying when you're dealing with someone that's doing that. Like, oh yeah, you thought that I was this. Well, guess what? I'm not. And I feel like you're actually like almost like a one up, and not that you meant to do this, but this is how your person sees life. That's how they deal. That's how all their past relationships go. So they were almost like creating that dynamic. Please don't give up on me. So again, but down deep inside, they do care. And that's what you say when a person, you know that they do love you, or they do care about you, but they have so many traumas and triggers. And that's why it's so important to look at the spiritual energy first, because you can be like, I know that that person loves me, but the way that they treat me, and it's so hard when you have expectations and you run into relationships because love is blind. But why is this happening? And I believe it's happening because the root is that you need to learn forgiveness, and that forgiveness has nothing to do with this person. It has to do with way before you met this person. But this situation is playing out right now. Unhealthy attachment. See, it's again the unhealthy attachment is again growing up and like in family karma, and then reliving that situation by drawing in somebody that triggers you to feel all the same emotions because they still can't, that they can't show up. You're dealing with someone that has all the same traumas that a parent had. So you relive all those, or you feel that you need to teach that person. And that's an unhealthy attachment because then you're not putting the time and energy into yourself. So that's a problem that needs to be looked at. Let's look at a different deck. Different issue, different deck. Our story isn't over yet. I feel like because there was no closure to the situation, your person feels like our story isn't over yet. I think your person's a little deluded and actually thinks that they can come back at any time that they want. Um, and that's what happens. Because when we keep reliving a trauma and we act the way that we act with people and we've gotten away with it, where we're in, we're out, we're hot, we're cold, and people accept it in the past, that your person just assumes, well, you're going to do that too because that's what people do. Where I don't believe that you're going to do that. I don't believe that you're going to do that. I believe that they are so convinced because of the deep connection. Again, past life, that soulmate connection is a strong connection, and it's strong for a reason because there's lessons that need to be learned. And so that you wouldn't have that chemistry. You wouldn't be so crazy madly in love with that person or think that they were everything that on your list if they weren't coming into your life to teach you. We wouldn't stick around. Be like, nope, the story is too hard and you're not really that good looking and I don't really want to put myself through all that. So again, I don't believe your person's looking at at really any of it. Like they're not thinking that the constant separations, the constant in and out, the constant back and forth really is going to make a difference with you, that they can kind of win you over. And that's where I think that again it's an unhealthy attachment because you're not supposed to treat people like that regardless. So let's just look at the hidden truths. I wish things could be different. So in a way, they actually know. And I think that that's really the way that you feel, Virgo, because there is an unconditional love. Your past life soulmate relationship is, again, where you had expectations of this person. Of course, you're going to feel a loss of them. especially when there's such a strong spiritual ESP connection, ESP of the heart and mind, meaning that it can only fed if two people are doing it at the same time. There's comfort in that. But understand it's almost like the same comfort that you grew up in. Like, I know that my parent loves me, but they're still not there. They're detached, where you want to be here in the now. You don't want somebody that triggers all your childhood wounds. And so this is why it's hard, because it's like, I love you, but it's like, I know you're not healthy for me. So I wish things could be different. I think your person wishes things could be different because they're realizing how important you are to them. And I don't think that they ever looked at people. Same way, again, they were too busy looking at their mask. Again, making sure that their mask wasn't falling off, worrying about like how people perceive them, instead of, too much of this energy, instead of, when we're trying to be perfect and trying to give off that illusion, we don't realize it takes a lot of time to do that. It's very stressful to do that. And so when your person finally isn't doing that, and but now it's almost like too late. And so sometimes our soulmate twin flame, I mean, never a twin flame, but our soulmate relationships, especially past life, they come into our life and they teach us. And then when the lesson's done, the that attachment is actually broken because it's an unhealthy attachment. So understand, for everything that's divine, there's a lower energy. So that attachment can feel like love, that unconditional love, where really it's an unhealthy attachment where the person needs to feel you, needs to know that you're there, needs to know, but they're never going to give anything, and they're never, because they have to do the healing themselves. And that's really what this reading opened up with. So I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. Now, if you resonated with this message, this spiritual message, let me know. Always let me know in the comments. I love it when you guys do. And if you'd like to win a free reading with me, just write the word forgiveness in your comment bar, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Those three things automatically get you into winning, like entering into like the chance to win a free psychic reading with me. So you want to do those things, and you'll know if I chose you if you see the comment winner underneath your comment forgiveness. So those are three things that you need to do. And I'm going to leave it there. And until next time, be true to you, love yourself, always do that, because the kingdom of heaven's inside of you. If you can imagine it, you can create it. Understand that. There's no obstacle, because the spiritual realm and the spiritual potential that you hold, that divine energy that you hold inside of you, allows you to be able to transcend time and space. It allows you to create your own heaven on earth. I'm going to leave it there. Bye.